What do you think John Hurt's favourite performance was? Do you reckon it was playing John Merrick in The Elephant Man? Or possibly it might have been playing Kane in Alien? Or it could have been him playing Max in Midnight Express? I mean, I'd say those, and possibly more, as his standout roles. Yet when it comes to Hurt's favourite performance, for many years he said it was playing Giles in Love and Death on Long Island. You're probably going to say, what film? What now? What? Love and Death in Long Island. It was a co-production between the UK and Canada and starred John Hurt and Jason Priestley. Yeah, that Jason Priestley. The heartthrob from Beverly Hills 90210. I know, right? The most unlikely of casting for the most unheard of films. This is Love and Death on Long Island.
Delivery for Dr. Death?
Yes.
Is that your real name then?
Pronounced De'Ath.
Does the 20th century play any part in your life?
I'm sorry?
Do you, for instance, use a word processor?
I'm a writer. I write. I don't process words.
It says no smoking.
No, it says thank you for not smoking. As I am smoking, I don't expect to be thanked.
And any minute now, that room is going to be filled with butt-naked babes.
This isn't the Air Force.
Winsome, young, neoclassical.
I have begun to engage in completely new subject matter. New to me, at least. I could almost say that it has brought me into contact with everything that I myself have never been.
Now, Ronnie Bostock was born in Southern California, but where does he live now?
Chesterton, Long Island.
A novella by the same name by author Gilbert Adair piqued the interest of experimental short film director Richard Kianowski. From here on in, I'm going to refer to Richard Kianowski as the director, as I don't want to offend Richard by getting his surname wrong. So, the director had lunch with the author and tried to convince Adair that he could adapt it for the screen. Adair continued to tell him he thought it was unfilmable, but eventually the director wore him down and rights were granted. British Screen put up half the budget, which was just under £1 million, and the rest was scraped together from 11 other financiers. It was to be partially filmed in Nova Scotia, while the rest was shot back in the UK. John Hurt was approached to play Giles, a curmudgeonly British writer who becomes smitten with American heartthrob actor Ronnie Bostock. Never in a month of Sundays did the director think that his first and only choice of John Hurt would appear in his small indie feature film, yet Hurt reacted positively to the script. He found it funny and he liked its spirituality. To play Ronnie, opposite Hurt's Giles, the name Jason Priestley was mentioned. At the time, he was living the 90210 lifestyle. Why would he want to be a part of a small indie film? Well, the director had an ace up his sleeve. He knew that Priestley was Canadian, and as the film was to shoot in Nova Scotia, he hoped that that would appeal. It certainly did. Shot in a quick 2 months between April and May 1996, the post-production was just as quick, as the final film was delivered by the November. Then it was accepted into the prestigious Cannes Film Festival, where it won the award for Best European First Feature. Reviews across the board were ecstatic, and while it did receive releases around the world, it was mainly through independent distributors and on very limited number of screens. In the UK, it only had 20 prints of it made. None of the big screen cinema chains would touch it, sadly. What is rather delightful about Love and Death on Long Island is the culture and generational clash between Giles and Ronnie. Never would they ordinarily meet or even be aware of each other's work. Yet, were it not for Giles accidentally seeing Hot Pants College 2, then he would not have discovered Ronnie. What follows is Giles pulling himself into the 20th century by buying a VHS player so he can rent Ronnie's films from the local video shop. Something he has no idea how you go about doing, and he's then surprised when the manager tells him that rentals are for 24 hours rather than the 3 weeks, like a book borrowed from a library. Looking at Giles through today's modern fan lens, and we see him as Stan. The term Stan comes derived from the Eminem song Stan, about an obsessive, overzealous, maniacal fan of a certain celebrity. Giles ends up becoming such a person as he flies out to Long Island to see if he can actually become friends with Ronnie. This is in the days before celebrities had 24-hour security around them. Not only does Giles meet Ronnie, he gets to spend time with him and try to stifle his mounting desire as he just about manages it. There's a wonderful scene where Giles explains that if Shakespeare were alive today, then he would be writing films such as Hot Pants College 2, Giles also points out to Ronnie that even though his performance in that film is nothing more than eye candy to most, there is actually a deeper meaning to the character than what most will give him credit for. This shocks and also pleases Ronnie. Priestley is wickedly engrossing as he sends up his 90210 heartthrob image by playing up to it on screen, but then dismantling it off screen and in front of Giles. It looks and feels like a devastatingly accurate portrayal of what many young actors went through before the advent of them having minders and security and therapists and close-knit family members be part of their journey in order to keep them grounded. Here, Ronnie's struggling to reconcile his on-screen persona with who he is and who he wants to be. The opposite is true of Giles. He knows who he is. He's a writer who writes. Doesn't care for modern trappings and trying to find himself. He knows who he is. That is until he sees Ronnie on screen. Then he starts to develop something he's never felt before and has no control over. It's a revelation for Giles, one that he has to come to terms with very quickly, and that causes all sorts of mental questions for a man who thought he had life all figured out. Not only is this just a man crush, or is it something more, but it's also a European intellectual becoming transfixed by American culture. Considering how rarely seen this film is, heck, the BBC bought the UK TV rights and have only shown it once back in 2003 late at night. So, considering how rare this film seems to be, there's a huge amount of love out there for it, and it's easy to see why. This Death in Venice influenced story is a tender piece about loneliness and then finding something that makes you feel alive. Is this a love story? Some might say it is. Is it a story about generational friendship? Some might say it is. Is it a story about a sexual awakening? Some might say yes. It seems that Love and Death on Long Island is a film that people take different things away from.
You see, Ronnie, you have something that gives even the most casual look or gesture a real intensity.
Yeah, it sets up the whole storyline. See, I go to college, all the college girls try to mother me, but I fall in love with a teacher whose husband turns out to be a grand wizard in the KKK. Very nice. Very nice indeed.
Sir, you're looking very spiffy today, very attractive.
Oh, thank you.